Okay. So, what was the happiest moment of your life? So, I think I was around like 8 years old, around there. So, I'm from South Florida. So, my dad bought a used car and he was like fixing it up, because it was like half broken, half everything. So, he was like repairing everything else. He isn't a mechanic, but he just loves to fix cars. Like, that's just something he just really, really loves to do. And so, I remember that every single time we would go, it would be in Apalaka. So, um, it's kind of like on the bad side of town, but I mean, regardless of it, every single time at 9 a.m., for some reason, Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield would always play. And so I just remember just sitting down. Like, that's like the most vivid memory I have, is just sitting in that, like in the his other old car, the Honda Civic. It was like this really beat up car. I would just sit there, relax. It's like in the middle of the summer, everything's so hot. But regardless of it, like that song would just bring me to ease. Like it was just, I don't know. Like I was just an 8 year old, just chilling, living life. Everything was just so bliss. And so I think that was probably the happiest moment of my life. Just knowing that everything was just calm. And so the saddest moment of my life, the saddest moment of my life. I guess I think it would be when I saw my mom cry for the first time. It was like around like my freshman year of high school. That was more when like I started to understand a little bit more of like why my mom is like not exactly sensitive, but she is very emotional. Um, but I now understand why she, portrays certain emotions like that, and why she's been like very sad, especially for the past few years. And so I think that seeing her cry, I think for the first time, and talking about like the relationships that she's had previously with like her family members, and like even her siblings and everything else, like it just kind of like the fact that I couldn't do anything about it. I think that was the part that really made me. I don't know, just like I can't do anything. So I think that was the saddest part, I think, of my life so far. Um, so yeah. What are the most important lessons you've learned in life? I would say it's to live in the presence. And honestly, yesterday I went to this beauty pageant and I learned, somebody mentioned like, if not who, no, if not me, then who. And I think it's, taking living in the present but also taking charge about a lot of things is like probably the most important part. And then making sure that, if you fail in your journey, at least like that you have to keep going. I think that's the main part. Is you have to keep going, regardless of what the outcomes are. Well, actually, no, not regardless of what the outcomes are, but regardless of like the hardships that you have to encounter to get to that part, because the journey is really the best part. You can't just skip to the end. So I think that's probably the best and the most important lesson I've ever learned. And so, what are you proudest of? I think I'm really proud of seeing my parents happy with me sometimes. Like coming to UF, I think that was like the biggest thing for us. Like that was like the biggest accomplishment. The fact that I had to like go out of town completely, like 5 hours away, from home. I think that's my biggest accomplishment so far. And like currently right now, like doing research. That's something I think like like in my family, like because we're from Peru, so it's like it's a lot more different, than coming here to the States, and especially like being en route to that American dream. So I think that that's probably the biggest part that I'm really proud of is, chasing after that American dream. And yeah, that's my story.